So you've watched all the videos, you've read all the articles, you're starting to wake up and come around to the idea that the American dream is not all it's cracked up to be. That you would like to check off that treadmill of life and have a little bit slower, a simpler life. A life that gets back to the things that are really important. Big problem, your wife's not on board. What do you do with that? I think the most important thing is to let's look at our wife's perspectives of what it means to relocate, to pick her up, move her from a place that she's has maybe a life that's comfortable, from her friends or family, or the modern conveniences that she's just grown accustomed to. Oftentimes, us men were guilty of having these grand ideas and getting really enthusiastic about particular things, only for a few months down the road for that enthusiasm to wane and for us to not follow through and not to complete those things that we started. This is what I think is a big concern for our wives and girlfriends, that this is going to happen. And it's too much to risk. It's too much to give up on something that may or may not work out. So where do you start? How do you get your wife on board? How do you bring her around to your way of thinking? How do you guys get on the same page so that you can work together to achieve a goal that will benefit both of you, your marriage, and your family? I think that for a lot of women, the idea of moving out of the city, moving into a rural country location, it doesn't sound very good. And there are two different types of country living. Yeah, you can pick up your family and you can move out into the middle of nowhere, be completely isolated, and I don't think that that is beneficial to anyone. I think that that's going to foster resentment and it's going to cause difficulties in your relationship. So how do you find that balance? How do you make that transition? Well, the most important thing, I believe, is to start following people and getting yourself involved with people that have actually done it. That's the main motivation that I have behind this channel, is because I'm such a firm believer in this lifestyle, and I've woken up to realize that everything that we've been being taught and the lifestyle, the American dream or the American nightmare, as I've called it, is not healthy for the family. It's not healthy for the individual, and it's a lie, and it is something that is unsustainable, to use that overly used word, but I don't know how else to sum it up. So where do you start? I can just tell you kind of briefly our story. 7-8 years ago, whatever it was, we started to wake up to the fact that, you know what, we don't want to raise a family in the city. We don't want to sit in traffic and commute. We don't want to work at a job 40, 60 hours a week that we hate while our best years vanish away and we wake up not knowing our children and wake up to a life of regret. So where do you start? You got to be really careful as you're laying the groundwork for this important move. And I think you really need to get yourself connected with people and they're in communities that are actually doing it and doing it well. We're very fortunate to where we are at because we have so much support in this area. Tremendous amount of like-minded people, tremendous amount of homeschoolers, tremendous amount of people that are wanting to live healthy lives, grow their own food, to be independent. But you got to be careful and make sure that you don't make this prepping lifestyle, this homesteading lifestyle, your idol in life, that's your identity. It needs to be, you need to really find a balance, and you really need to do this together. So what I would recommend you guys is to start connecting yourself with people and looking for communities where they're really into homesteading, really into bartering, really into supporting one another. Just a perfect example, over the weekend, this particular community, there was a big street fair, Kids in Motion they called it, where people in the community got together and volunteered their time, and it was just heartwarming, and it's just so encouraging to see other people that are doing the same thing. You don't feel like you're out on your own. It's one thing for you guys to sit down and watch these videos and to point to your wife, you know, look there, look, they're doing it, you know, we can do the same thing, but we're really far removed. You know, you don't have the opportunity to sit down and talk to us. Your wife doesn't have the opportunity to sit down and talk to Mrs. Wranglerstar and to have her mind put at ease by sharing our experience. but you can meet people in your communities that are doing it. So harvest festivals, I've showed those. Get in touch with local farmers markets. Just start getting out there and reaching out and looking and talking to people. Take one weekend a month, or as often as you can, and go out and drive into these areas and start meeting people, start talking to people, and get your wife involved with what's going on, the practicalities of it. That's going to make a huge difference. Men and women are so different in our how we go about doing this. Men are very much, myself included, are more likely to take risks and to chuck everything and just to go for it, jump in with both feet. That's why men have been the forefront of exploration, discovery, moving their families out west, because they're just not afraid to take on those responsibilities and to do whatever it takes to make it happen. Women, on the other hand, they don't see it that way. They see the challenges. They see the difficulties. They see a lot of the fear. They experience the fear that comes along with that, and maybe don't have complete trust in boyfriends or husbands because we have not proved that to them in the past. That's why it's so important for you guys to get together and to be watching these videos together and talking to people and sharing those and just easing your wife into it. I'm not saying that the man's perspective is always right and you should just go forward and drag your wife along and hopefully that she'll come in line with your way of thinking. God did not make us that way. We're created in the image of God. We have as men have been given attributes, certain characteristics. The women have been given the other characteristics. That's why it's so important for a man and woman to come together in marriage, because we complement each other. We actually form the more pure image of God as a couple than we do individually. So those inhibitions and that cautious stance that your wife will oftentimes take is something that you should really cherish and use. That's an excellent form of counsel that you can have, and oftentimes it helps us from really jumping in maybe too soon and making some serious mistakes. So be patient with your wives and involve them in all these decisions, and don't get real extreme on one thing. Don't start gathering up and collecting guns and ammunition, because the only thing your wife starts seeing is it's all about fear. What you really want to emphasize, what you guys really want to come together on, is working together for a common goal. The thing that's so dangerous with our society, and I think, it seems to me, my opinion, some of the biggest reason for the breakups in families and the problems with marriages is a couple not working together for a common goal. Individuals. You have an individual, maybe the wife is going off and she's working a job, exposed to temptations that she wouldn't normally have if the husband and wife were together. The very same thing goes for the man. Maybe you're off on business trips, you're in hotels, you have female co-workers. You're putting yourself in situations that are very dangerous, and you're subjecting yourselves to temptations, as I said, that you wouldn't have if the two of you were together. And that's why I think that a lot of the marriages fail, because there's just that lack of we have a goal, we're going somewhere, and we're going to do it together, hand in hand. We're a team, husband and wife. That is such a strong bond. And don't think that there's too much to overcome. It's scary. I know it is scary to pack up your life, to sell everything, sell your business maybe, or quit a job that provides for you. But you only live here once. You only have one chance to live a life free of regret. And so it's so important that you guys are moving in the same direction. It's amazing what can be accomplished. My dad always says it's amazing what you can get done when you need to do it. I like the example of Cortez when he discovered the New World. I believe it was Cortez. First thing he did was, once the men were on shore, was he burned the ships. And therefore his men were highly motivated to make it happen. So don't be afraid to take those chances and to move forward. And I know it's scary. I know it's hard. But look back and look at what man and woman have accomplished together. the Oregon Trail, for example. You think we have it bad? Do you think we're taking risks by moving to a different state or a different location to better our lives, to take a few risks? We don't know what risk is. It's not that big of a risk, and don't let this fear paralyze it. Don't let fear dictate important decisions that could change your life and improve your relationship for the better. Oregon Trail example. Can you imagine picking up everything that you had, spending all the money you had, and trying to purchase the supplies and get on a wagon, cross over the Rockies to the unknown with all of the perils and dangers? But people have done it. And look at the country that we've built because of that. Had the people not been willing to leave England under the oppression of the kings or the monarchs, it's hard to say. History would be very different. But look what we've created. We can do that again. We still have that spirit. And we're so fortunate as Americans to still have that ability. I think maybe you don't understand or don't appreciate the opportunities we have in this country. My eyes have really been open to it because I've had the benefit of talking to so many subscribers and people who watch videos from all over the world, from the Netherlands, from England, where the opportunity to do this, to have a piece of property, to start a homestead, it's not an option. There's just, the land is not available, the laws are against it, or there's just too much to overcome. We still are one of the very few places in the world where we have the opportunity to do this. Take advantage of it and just really get yourself focused, and the two of you together on it. I am going to be doing more videos in the future, and I've talked with my wife about sitting down and addressing this issue. What's a woman's perspective on it? You know, what was it like for her? One thing that I'm concerned about in these videos is that I have put up a lot of videos doing a lot of things, and having the ability to edit video and to portray things in a certain way maybe doesn't really give the true story. I have tried to show some of the difficulties in the past, but the truth is that we're all, those of us who are men, are proud, and we want to be able to have the respect not only of our peers, our friends, family members, our wives, or our YouTube subscribers. And by showing failures all the time, that doesn't necessarily do that. So no matter how hard you try to really get the good picture, it's easy to cut those things out that are difficult. It's easy to cut those things out that are failures. So I don't want to give you the impression that it's all just perfect and we sit out here in the garden and enjoy the sunset of the mountain every evening. It is difficult, and expect those difficulties. However, how difficult is it to get up and to sit in traffic for an hour and a half every day in a commute, going to a job that you hate? Watching the best years of your life melt away, working for someone else, all of your efforts, all of your energy is going into to benefit someone else. There's a place for that. I'm not saying that there isn't. A lot of people don't have the opportunity or just don't have the ability to do it, but most of you do. And those of you who follow my videos and are interested in this and talk to me and write to me, I know that you do. I've talked to you on the phone. I consult with people all the time trying to brainstorm, put together plans. How do you do this? How do we make this happen? And the two big obstacles. One is getting your wife on board. The second is, how am I going to make a living? That's scary. Let me tell you one thing I have made that's fundamental with this. I have made no bones about the importance of putting God first in your life. That is key. As I spoke to earlier, be careful when you make this decision to include God in these decision-making, all these important decisions. I believe my experience with God is that He's so practical. He's not arbitrary, and He understands how difficult this is. He understands our circumstances. I like the story, think of it this way. If you were a father and you had a son and you gave him specific directions, you said, son, I want you to go down to the end of the road, I want you to take a left-hand turn, I want you to go in town and complete whatever task it is, a task. And your son goes down the end of the driveway, but instead of turning left, he turns right, gets lost, doesn't accomplish the job, doesn't do all the things that you asked him to do, but eventually finds his way back. Would you really be angry at your son for not hearing you? He made that decision to turn right instead of left, not because he wanted to defy you, but because he just wasn't listening. He didn't understand. Could you be angry with him? Would he return back safely? Well, no. And God is the same way. He's not going to punish us for making mistakes. We're going to make mistakes. I myself made a tremendous mistake. I was very presumptuous with the first property that we purchased. I made homesteading and getting off the grid, getting a country simpler life, my idol. And I pushed God out of it. I said, I don't need you. God put me on the right path, but instead of turning left and listening for His counsel and following His instructions, I went my own way, and the whole thing blew up on me. That was a hard lesson for me, but I came out of it a better person. So it's important for you guys to put God first in your life, and He will provide these opportunities. You may not know exactly what you're going to do for a living. You may not know exactly where you're going to live. But if you come together as a family, husband and wife, involve your kids, come together and seek the counsel of God on these important decisions, He will honor you if your intentions are correct. Don't make it your idol. Don't make it the only thing that matters, homesteading, but make it wanting to have a closer walk with Him. Make the fundamental purpose for this is improving your marriage, having time to raise your kids. We'll give an account of our kids someday. I don't want to stand before God and Him ask me, what did you do with these that I gave to you? What did you do with your wife that I gave to you? Did you do everything that you could? Did you put her first? Did you honor me? And did you seek my counsel? Did you walk with me through your life? I don't want to have that conversation. I don't want to be found lacking in that department. I wish I could give you steps how to do this. I wish I could tell you, you follow these particular guidelines. But these two things are fundamental. Of course, be out of debt, as we talk about so many times. Get your wife on board, get her involved, ease her into it, move into it slowly. Once you guys are on the same page and are looking towards the goal, once you guys are looking in the same direction, you guys can move forward, and there's nothing that can prevent you from doing it. Put God first in your life, seek His counsel, seek His guidance. He will open the doors. But be prepared for hardship, be prepared for difficulties, but also be prepared for a life that's full and rich. Be prepared to become a man that you can be proud of, that you can look at yourself in the mirror and not be ashamed. Become a person, be a person that your wife admires and respects. And also the same thing goes for your wives. So forgive me, the memory card was full. I'll join the clips. I will be doing more videos in the future from getting a woman's perspective, my wife's perspective on all of this, and hopefully this will be something that you can help to put your wife or girlfriend's mind at ease and get you guys on the same page. So this video went way too long, but thanks for watching, and we will see you on the next video.